Yes.
All right, 10, council to receive an update on the creative district.
Hi. Maybe that carries just fine. My name is Kristen Weavy, and I'm on the steering committee for the Creative District, and just have a short little presentation to give you an update of that. You might have been hearing some information about that, wondering what that's all about and what the progress is. Creative District Program is an initiative run by the Nebraska Arts Council with legislation passed by the Nebraska legislature in 2020. It will show the arts as an economic driver, support communities in Nebraska in telling their stories, and elevate the value of the arts. Program details were announced in August of 2021, and several communities across the state are making strides toward establishing these districts. It is a well-defined geographic area with a high concentration of creative resources and activities. Creative districts work to help communities throughout the state set goals unique to their community. Planning for districts will involve identifying assets and weaknesses, establishing a clear vision of the future, and create a distinct sense of place with local resources in mind. These districts enhance an area as an appealing place to live, visit, and do business. It is not just about tourism, but makes residents want to share where they live with others. Starlail, just for history, brought the concept forward to community members interested in economic development and those in the local arts community and creative industries sector. A steering committee was formed in the fall of this past year, resulting in a community meeting just over a month ago. Partner organizations were identified within the community, and a partners meeting was held just 2 weeks ago. Partners and individuals involved represent key industries and sectors, cultural organizations, and individuals interested in building on the assets already in place. The goal of the district is to ensure that the entire region benefits from the district and that community input is sought for an outcome reflecting the values of our residents. You might wonder what ideas came from the meeting so far. Those in attendance identified a number of things they'd like to see more of in our community. You can see on the slide some of what that might look like. Music, public art, green space, areas for a variety of types of gatherings. Making downtown as walkable as possible on the next slide. And tying downtown and East Overland together were all topics that came up. On the next slide, spaces for public art and studio space for artists and creative industries, as well as performing arts of all kinds. Next slide, signage that showcases the district and speaks to the culture and feel of the community. And the examples on the slides that you saw are examples of those kinds of districts in other communities across the nation. The proposed geographic area can be seen here as Broadway, including streets on either side. So it's wide to encompass Broadway as well as First Avenue and Avenue A, going from the south end of downtown at the railroad tracks all the way to the north to where it meets with 27th Street. And then where the tracks are on the south side, it would continue to Overland and at about 7 Americas, where the tortilla factory is there. So it is really quite a large area and encompasses an area that has room for growth, but also has a good deal of assets already in place that could be utilized, maybe more than they are now. It includes historic buildings, lots of businesses, but also creative industries that are already there and room for additional. The short-term goals identified by the partners and community so far fall into 3 areas. Showcasing public art by local artists that reflect culture here. Creating areas that can be used for multi-use spaces for creative arts and all kinds of activities. And creating new areas for that, or utilizing some that maybe exist but aren't used at the present time. Establishing a central event directory and a visitor center in that district was also mentioned as a priority. Goals that go into a longer time frame, maybe within a 5-year period, are listed here, and these were all things that were mentioned in those community meetings. One thing we know is that if we don't value creative industries by investing in the infrastructure to attract and support them, they won't exist. We can't expect to find local artists for a great mural project if we haven't already been supporting them, just as we do other businesses in the community. So it is encompassing a mindset of valuing art-related activities, and that includes performing arts and creative industries of all kinds. We just can't pull them out when we want to. We have to support them and find ways to value that just as a business of any other kind. So if you read through that list, it's really a pretty diverse group of things, but has a lot to do with improving our existing downtown spaces, utilizing, building on historic and building on current assets. Basically, the structure of the work falls within our steering committee, the partners that come together, and the community input we receive. There are funding possibilities with the model. Initially, a $10,000 certification grant once we are approved as a creative district. Then, following the completion of a workbook process with a considerable amount of documentation outlining the goals and plan of the district, we are eligible for a $250,000 development grant. More funds are potentially available throughout the process, but are determined by progress and local work within the district. It would be a process that's owned and dollars that are owned by the district, not necessarily held within the city, but by the district itself, which includes all of those partners being a part of that. It's not really just about the money, but it is a great incentive to plan and spend time setting goals for what a creative district could do for our community. We've had great interest and support from community leaders so far. I would just say that we really appreciate the members of council that have participated in that discussion and have been involved in that process so far. I do have a video that will show some of the ways that an example of a creative district in Durango. It's about 6 minutes long, and that's something that could be sent to council if you have interest and want more information on what it really looks like to have a creative district. It's a really great example of that. So I think if you're interested in getting that in your email, I think it'd be a good starting point to explain a little more, because pictures only tell part of the story. I would entertain questions.
Roughly how many citizens are on the committee?
I don't have a list of them on the steering committee. I would guess that we've had 12 to 15 is about what we've had. The partners meeting, in the community meetings, we had a total of 25 to 30 people participate in those meetings, and really from all areas, nonprofits, business, government agencies, lots of different people within the community. And then the partners that we've identified, it is a pretty large list. Those that came to the meeting, a lot of representation from local assets that are already in our community. What we don't want to create is something that has a new board that you have to populate, new people. You want to use the assets you have in place and benefit all of those existing organizations. We don't want to add more process that leads to just board members and raising more money and those kinds of things. We hope to utilize this process to do planning with all of those partners in mind, but it does take a great deal of community input to make sure that it becomes what the community wants it to and not just what a few people want it to. Any other questions?
And we hope to have our plan done late summer, early fall, for the Arts Council?
You know, I think the goal is to utilize a couple of rural fellows interns that the city has applied to get this summer, and there's a lot of legwork that has to be done that of course would be really hard for people who already have full-time jobs, and that will greatly help to get that done. And I think it's reasonable to think that we would have a lot of those things in place. Initially, values, mission statement, vision statement, logo design, kind of what it starts to look like, will be developed in the next month or so. And then we hope to be able to present the information out into the community with boards and nonprofits and organizations within the community so they understand it and we can get more input. But the process is lengthy, but we're starting to divide it up and get the information we need. So I think it's reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you.